Hey y'all, Billy Thomas here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the select statement in SQL Server. Let's get to work. So the first thing we got to do is open up SQL Server Management Studio to be able to use a select statement. We're going to interact with a database today using a select statement, and the select statement will let us retrieve and pull data out of a database. So to do that, we need the SQL Server Management Studio, and then we're going to need to tell the system what database and what table we're working with. All right. So a database will be listed under your databases. Now, if you don't have SSMS or the AdventureWorks database, I'm going to put the video down in the comments so that you can find those videos and go install SSMS, and you can get the AdventureWorks database and restore that so that you can work with this data. And so I'm going to open up AdventureWorks, this database, and we can take a look at all the tables. Now, almost all these tables came directly from Microsoft, except one here. I've got one in here called SQL 101. What we want to do is we want to pull all the information out of that. It's actually our syllabus. So I've prearranged to have a syllabus in here as a data table. And so inside of SSMS, what we want to do is hit new query. And when we do that, we're going to get this window that allows us to start typing in a select or SQL, transact SQL commands. So the very most basic select statement is this: select star from, and then you just put your table name in. So like our table name here is SQL 101. And then if you hit enter, that doesn't do anything, right? What you have to do is you have to hit execute. So you can hit the F5 or the function 5 key on your keyboard, or you can come up here and hit this execute button. So let's do that. Uh-oh, we're missing something. So this is great, because one of the things that you may end up with this problem too. It says it can't find it, right? It's because of this guy right here. I did not tell it what database we're in. So all you have to do is like pull that down and hit AdventureWorks 2022, and then hit execute, and it should pull the data. All right, so that's a very important part that I should have showed you from the beginning, but happens all the time, and now you know how to fix it. So what we're going to do is just kind of march down through this. We did a select star from, and then we'll look at how to work with columns, alias and columns. We'll do a top distinct, and then I'll show you how to use the designer where it will actually type this stuff out for you. Next on the list is columns. So let's say in this particular very simple table, we just want to see agenda descriptions in the column in our output. So we can come in here and say, and I'm gonna show you how you can start typing, and it will suggest a column for you. And if you click on that, it will put it in there. Now it put in the column name and put brackets around it. And the reason it did that is because there's a space in this guy. And for it to see it as a unique object, it needs to be in parentheses. So if I hit execute now, it changes from select star to select only this column. Okay. And then it works the same way for all tables. So if let's switch this around now. So let's do select star from production dot product. Oh, got to spell it right. And then execute it. Now I've got all these different rows and columns. So there's 504 rows and a bunch of columns here. So to apply the principle we learned earlier about how to select columns, let's say we just wanted to see the product number and name. So if I go up here and I say, give me the name and the product number, and you notice I separated the two columns with a comma. That's very important. And you see I spelled it wrong. I want to show you what happens. You just get this error, and a lot of times the errors are pretty helpful. In this case, it actually tells you, I can't find this column. You've put in an invalid column name. So we go up here and we look at it's even highlighted it for us. And we can say this guy, right? Select name and product number. Now it's happy. So we've had this opportunity to now look at how we can select only certain columns or all the columns. Star will give you all the columns, and anything else, you've got to tell it specifically and explicitly which columns. If you're working in here and with a table and you're like, oh shoot, I don't remember what are the column names. Well, you could do another select star, or you can just come to the table over here in the Object Explorer. And if I go to product or production product and open up this columns, it'll tell me all the different columns, right? So now if I wanted to add in, like product ID, I could come in here and say, all right, product ID and execute. And now we get all three columns. So that's good. Now, let's say instead of name, we want this column to say product name. All right. And it might just be for the users of, maybe a report we're writing that they would understand better the information that's being displayed in the column. So you just come up here right after the column and you type in as and then product name. And then I'm going to put this little single quotes around it so that it knows that it's a string. And now you'll see it says product ID, product name, product number. So it changed name to product name using the as function to alias it. Okay, so that's how you alias it. So if we wanted to make this maybe more readable, this product number, we could alias it. So we're going to say a quote and we'll say product number in a single quote. And I wanted to show you that this as, it's optional. Okay. So if you look at here, this time we put the as in, this time we did not, it still worked just fine. All right. So that's it for aliasing. Pretty easy. The next thing we want to do is do the select top. So this is a pretty small table we're working with, but you might get something that's got millions of rows and you really want to use a command like this to limit. You can't read a million rows anyway. So what you do is you just, before the columns, you just say, you could say select top 10. Okay. And then hit F5 to redo it or to re-execute it, and you will get your top 10 records. I can't remember if this works. Nope. Top 10, top 100. And then if I say top 1,000, it'll just give me the 504 rows that are there and available. I think I just remember top 10%. You got to type it out. There we go. Okay, so top 10% of 500 and some is 51. So it wasn't the percent sign, you actually type out percent. So there we have it. By the way, if you don't remember, and it's hard to memorize all of this, and I've been working with this for 30 years, and as you can see, I still forget things. I go out to Google all the time, and I'll type in things like, first of all, let me get to Google and say SQL SELECT statement. And you can go and you can look at this is a good website, but I usually try to go right to Microsoft and just look at the documentation. And in there, it will start looking at, you'll see the select from, and this has a lot more than we're going to be covering in this video, but you'll see examples and you'll see the exact syntax of what you need to do. Okay, back to here. So we've gone through aliasing. Now we've looked at how to do just a certain number of rows. What about getting something that is distinct? All right, so let me go back to a select star to show you what I'm talking about. And this comes in really handy if you're trying to profile data. And by profile, it means you're kind of trying to understand what's in a column. So you see this reorder point. See how there's lots of occurrences of 750 and 600, 375. They happen a lot. So out of the 504 rows, I want to see how many unique or distinct reorder points there are. So if I say select distinct reorder point from product, it'll go through and it'll crunch it down to just the unique values that are in there. Okay, so we see the number 3, 45, 75, 375, 600, and 750. So there are only 6 unique different reorder points that are being used in that database. This comes in so handy when I'm working with large corporations that have hundreds of thousands of rows and they're trying to look at what is in that column throughout all of those rows. Really, really helpful. And then finally on this video, I've been showing you how to do this SQL select inside of this window without using the designer, but I want to show you how it works with the designer because it's kind of a great way for you to learn when you might not know all the syntax. So if we come in here and we go to our particular table and we right mouse click on it, you can say, actually, we're going to do it a different way. Let's not do that. We want to actually go to a view. All right. So we're going to go down here to views. I didn't want to complicate you by showing you the other way first. So, and then we're going to drop to the particular. I hit P and it pushed me down all the way down to the P's in the list. But if we look at product and production, that was a table we were working with. You see how we've got this graphical interface now? So when we have it in here, you see it's got select, and then there's just blanks, but it says from production. When we come in here and we click on what we want, notice how it fills in the column names. Select product ID, name and product number from production.product. And then over here, you can't see it because it's kind of scrunched, but if you look in here, you can see alias. Oh, okay. I want to alias name as product name, and it just does everything for you. So come in here and it says name as product name. And then if we hit, now that's the thing, when you're inside this query designer, the execute is over here. So you can hit that and then it will bring back the information for you just the way that you asked it to. Now that I'm going to be doing other videos on group bys and wheres and joins, and we'll be using this designer a lot. So stay tuned for that. But this is your basic select using the query designer. And it is great as you're learning because all of your tools for doing select statements are right here. These are real handy for you to know too. They're the way you turn on the different panes inside of this view. So I can turn this guy on and off, the criteria pane, the actual SQL, and then the results pane. So there's actually 4 different panes that you can turn on and off using those buttons. And then over here is execute SQL, and over here to check your SQL. And that's really it for the select statement. It's the way you get started on pulling data out of a database. And if this video has been helpful to you, I would just ask that you quickly like it, subscribe to my channel, and that you would have a great day.